scratch 2 years in a row, or sit for these 2 years in a row?
Maybe for this.
That's fair. That's fair. Appreciate you taking time.
I haven't been, like, last year I was doing the roster and traveling the state, trying to put it together. That was maybe a little bit more challenging. This, I've just kind of been left alone up until this point, so it's been good.
It's over now.
Yeah.
Appreciate you making time. I think we'll hit you back and forth, but
Okay.
I guess now that you guys are still putting the final pieces together with the roster, but have you had a chance to
We're done.
take a deep breath?
We're
You are?
officially done.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what it is all through paperwork to
Sure.
talk about and official, but yeah, we're done. We just had the last one this morning.
What do you feel about what you guys were able to do?
I feel good. I think it's staggered well with the classes too. A year ago, I couldn't do that as much because you were looking in the spring. It was a really quick turnaround getting the players into school there. And I had more time with this. Obviously, hired December 5th there. I was hired December 28th.
Okay.
So, and then I had to have a quick turnaround and try to get people into school by, I believe, January 6th there. So it was a really, really quick turnaround, but you had the spring portal.
Mm-hmm.
This year we're not going to have the spring portal, so I'm excited for that too. Just this sense of knowing what your team is and looking and coaching the kids like they're the answer rather than trying to maybe find the problem. And I think when you look at kids that way, they end up exceeding your expectations. So this is who we are, building one team, from spring to fall and seeing how good we can be.
I guess just how the first 6 weeks have been for you in Ames and just being around the community. Have you had any run-ins at the supermarket? Just overall, how has the adjustment here been?
We stayed at the hotel down the block, the team hotel, and went to the gas station the first day, and I met a lot of people actually, asking me to tell them what I want my name to be on their menu. So that was unique.
What'd you go with?
I didn't choose anything, but yeah, I mean, I've been to Ames pretty much since my coaching career started, coming up here and spending about a week every summer here. So I'm familiar somewhat with the area. And I've always recruited Iowa. I spent 5 years recruiting Iowa at South Dakota State. So know a lot of the people, but at the same time, it's always good to meet new people. The experience has been great, though. The people here that I get the opportunity to work with, and the leadership from administration has been really strong, and they've allowed us to do our job and kind of step, full swing into this and get a team together.
You mentioned how the timing or the calendar was a little bit different with putting together the roster. How did you approach this one, and what were some things you learned from the Washington State rebuild that helped make this one a little more efficient?
Yeah, this one was different because when I showed up at Washington State, there were 63 players in the portal already. When I took the job, there was 25. 2 days later, showing up on campus, every time I tried to talk to a kid about why he was going into the portal, another kid was jumping into the portal. I couldn't connect with them all fast enough. Here, I was able to sit down one-on-one and kind of get an idea of who was leaving. Who was going to go with Coach Campbell and what their plans were. And some of them were open to hearing. And, the players have to make the best decision for themselves, too. So there really is no hard feelings. But this one was a little bit more progressive and understanding of roles that we need to fill and who's leaving. The players are great, and I'm excited for the team that we've put together so far, those that want to stay here at Iowa State and those that are excited about coming into Iowa State. The thing I didn't want to do on this one is twist anybody's arm to stay. You have to want to be here, because as soon as things get hard or there's adversity that strikes, sometimes those are the ones that are maybe the most disgruntled or become maybe an issue. Ames is a awesome town. People gotta want to live here first before they play football, though. So they gotta envision themselves here, and for the players that we brought in that are extremely excited to be either joining us back from Washington State here and being in the Midwest again, there's many of them that are locally from out this way. I know their family. There's a good portion of this roster that I knew prior to coming here. So I feel good about the people that we've added, and excited to watch them compete.
The whole not twisting anybody's arm to stay, was that something that you learned from the Washington State rebuild, to not take the exodus personally, or not be demoralized by it?
I don't know about demoralized. Just we're living in a different landscape. It's now more of a profession for the players. They're looking at this from a financial landscape, which I understand, but at the same time, this should be about the fit for them. I still believe that. They got to get up every day and feel like they're in their skin and want to compete and want to be around the group of players that they're committed to and want to do this with. So for me, if they already have intrigue on leaving for other opportunities and they're pretty set on it, I'm not going to try to talk them out of it. If there were players that were kind of up in the air and kind of really feeling it out, we started recruiting them because I wanted them to feel comfortable with us. There was many like that, because I wanted them to get to know us as people and understand how we were going to run the program prior to them making a life decision, feeling like they had to leave, So, yeah, I'm excited for the guys that decided to come. I'm excited for those that decided to stay. There were many that were up in the air and just needed some time, and I understand that.
When you're evaluating talent and recruiting, what are some traits that you look for, or level of competitiveness that you feel like make them such a great fit for you at Iowa State?
Yeah, I would say total makeup of being able to bend, redirect, the physicality portion, but as far as the traits that most people don't see, are they accountable? Do they put in extra time outside of just the time with the team? How serious are they about this? Do they love to train? How hard do they work? There's a lot of things that go into this. There's usually you're looking for, it's easy to find talent. It's harder to find the actual person that is willing to follow through with his talent. And that's maybe where I put my biggest focus on listening to red flags that, may come about, that, this kid doesn't go to class, or this kid does this poorly. How they carry themselves. I'm a big this type of guy, like a big person guy. So seeing how people interact and how confident they come across, and the coaches also have to want to coach them. They have to have a personal connection with them. We spend hours upon hours for years with these kids, right? And so they got to want to be around them as well, and that recruit or whoever it may be needs to want to be here with this staff and feel comfortable in their skin, and those are the things that we try to do in recruiting.
How did you handle then recruiting with how many guys you needed and the quickness? Like, was it position groups, geographic relations? How did you guys divvy that up?
Well, everything is kind of position based, and then we started just the needs that were there positionally, what we were looking for. Some of these guys are older veteran players that have a lot of snaps in college football. Some are at the highest of level, and maybe they didn't play as much as they wanted to. And then some of these guys have a ton of rep count and had success at the lower level, but the rep count and experience will pay dividends here. Then there's a group, obviously, that was here that was extremely talented that we wanted to put emphasis on keeping. And although they haven't played, we've been able to analyze the film that was left here and some in their game production. We took what we felt like was a strong freshman class, a group that we had recruited for 7 months, but also getting to know the recruits that signed here at Iowa State, and was excited to kind of get to know them. Some of those, the Iowa State's initial signing class will be here this weekend, and then the next weekend, the group that's coming in that we just signed, whether they came from us or from Washington State or joining our class, they're going to be coming in the next weekend. So we're going to get an opportunity to show them this. A lot of these people, there's prior relationships, and they've already seen all of this. They just need to get to know us. And then some of these people, they need to understand the organization of how things are going to work here and how we're going to run it, because they don't know us as people yet. So, yeah, there's a lot of dynamics to this. The freshman class, though, I feel really strongly about, because a lot of them we recruited for 7 months. and then the group just above that is a large portion of players that we felt strongly about in our development because half the staff is new to us, right? And so they're coming from different areas, whether that be Arkansas State or Auburn or New Mexico. Like those coaches knew what was on their roster, and excited to be able to add a couple of those players.
With your coaching staff, a lot of those guys come back with you from South Dakota State or Washington State. Just how important was that familiarity and loyalty for you?
Well, I would say the staff success is put together over years. It takes time to get on the same page. In college football, you don't have time. This defensive staff has been with me from the very beginning. Jesse Bobbitt, I was his first position coach in college. And then he GA'd for us, and then he became a full-time position coach. And Pete Menage's trajectory is very similar. He was a player at South Dakota State, and then became a student coach after a career-ending injury. Became a GA after that. Was in the same defense at another school. I hired him back, and he's been with us. Mike Banks has been with us since 22. Known Mike for years. Known Bibbs for years. I've known this staff. We've come together a long ways defensively, and then obviously adding Tyler Roll on the offensive side of the ball. It's a guy that I had known for years, competed against. Our stories are very similar. I think it's a unique, fun story, but it's exciting to have him on that side of the ball, leading them and learning how he's done things in the past, because obviously he's been at North Dakota State and he's had a ton of success. So combining the staff has been a joy. The hallway's been fun and live, and it's good to get new people in here, new blood and new ideas going, to mold something special.
What, with Tyler, what was the relationship like? I mean, I know that rivalry is, I think intense would probably be underselling it between NDSU.
Yeah, it
and
was
SDSU.
intense. I mean, there was always a level of respect there.
Mm-hmm.
He was a senior when I was a junior, and so we had battled throughout our careers as players. He played running back, I played linebacker. He became a graduate assistant, I became a graduate assistant. Like our careers really aligned positionally. Mm-hmm. He was the running backs coach, I was the linebackers coach. And really similar to when he became the offense coordinator, I was the defense coordinator at South Dakota State. So we'd always see each other on the road in recruiting. And then obviously when the transition happened for him to come to Iowa State, leaving North Dakota State, it was very similar. I think it was a year before I became the head coach at South Dakota State. So at that time, just kind of seeing him on the road and communicating with him, and kind of, when you're not rivals anymore, there's a little bit of bridge of knowledge that gets shared. So yeah, that relationship has grown, and then just, I respect him on how he carries himself and his demeanor and how he leads, and the organization of how his team played, you could tell. And that was really big for me in this hire.
What, obviously your entire background's defense. How much do you input offensively? How much of it is, Tyler, let me know what you guys are going to do and come back?
Yeah, I think some of it will be more based off of me coming in and trying to explain defensive rules to them, just how I think that they're reading it, how the linebackers' eyes are transitioning, back end of a defense, how they're playing it, weaknesses that I think that the defenses naturally have, just coverage based or when they're blitzing. He's really smart though. He's not going to need a whole lot of feedback from me, but I think it's important to train quarterbacks that way, let them know not just this is where you throw the ball to cover two, but do you understand cover two? Do you understand why this corner's playing it like this? It's because of these things. It allows him to manipulate a defense based off of their rules, which is honestly the higher you can get learning and absorbing knowledge from the quarterback position, the better off that you'll be as a program, and be able to play faster. So for me, it's trying to allow our quarterbacks to be able to utilize defensive rules against the defense.
I guess how do you view yourself as a head coach? Is it a CEO? Is it I'm going to be very hands-on on defense? Or, what do you,
what
your vision for it?
If you had to slate one way or another, I'm involved with the film and watching. I don't get enough film. I'm more in the CEO role now, what this has turned into. My passion is defense, but I have to be aware of everything. So a lot of time when I'm getting to film, I'm somewhat behind in the natural scope of what the rest of the staff is. So for me to come and throw a couple ideas that I haven't watched nearly as much as them at that time, I didn't always feel like that was fair. So I try to absorb it as fast as I can, give my initial thoughts to the staffs, allow them to absorb some of those things. And then as throughout the week goes, I come in and ask questions on certain things that may pop up on the film that I may not have seen right away. And then the biggest thing is trying to lead the coaches to lead the team and how it should be done, and things that I think need to improve in coaching or things that I think need to be addressed schematically throughout the week. So that, and then, I mean, recruiting obviously never stops. So the organization of everything's got to run through me.
You mentioned wanting to have a four-man front. Just how optimistic are you of this new defensive line that you brought in, and what is your philosophy on the defensive side of the ball?
Yeah, I do believe in the four-man front. I feel really confident in the defensive line that we will put together here and be competitive this fall. A lot of people consider this a rebuild. My mind doesn't work that way. I think every school in the country is replacing a ton of people now with the transfer portal. So I think every team is its own team every single year, unfortunately. But I'm excited for our what we're going to do defensively. The D-line in general, what I believe in is being simplistic, teaching simplistic, but making it look like more than what it is. And the defensive line of how we play is a big portion of us having success. The chaos in which they can create, the multiplicity in which they can present to an offensive line of having a couple different techniques. But overall, the defense in itself has a lot to it. At the same time, if you really just once you learn it and you narrow your focus, it's not a ton, and it's simplistic teaching. You get the players to play as fast as possible, and there's a lot of communication that happens inside of it, just as any defense. But overall, disguising, playing fast, being very multiple in coverage, not just living in one thing, man, zone, different blitz packages. You got to be stopping offense is hard these days. So you got to make sure that you're multiple, and I feel good about what we'll do defensively.
Which players on that side of the ball are you most excited about bringing in?
Well, we'll see them all compete. I don't want to just name one or two when I haven't had given the opportunity to see several of these guys play live. This whole spring will be very competitive. The best players will play. It's what I've told every player that's ever played for me, regardless if they were a starter the year before. The goal is to try to push talent ahead of experience, and that's our job as coaches, to try to bridge the knowledge gap, to give them that experience so that they can come out and compete. And I just don't want to play the smartest kid. I want to play the best player. And they're all going to have an opportunity. We coach them really hard, trying to prepare them for the spring, and then spring ball's when they cut it loose, and then they'll compete again through the summer and go through the fall.
What does this look like over the next few weeks and then into spring?
Yeah, we're going to go out recruiting here at the end of the week, and we'll go recruiting next week. The guys are already training. Some of these guys are just getting their class schedules and getting situated. Next Monday, we should have everybody have class schedules, be going to school full time now, and then starting the workouts in general. But our guys will train in the morning and in the evening. There's 2 groups to it. When you hit mid-February, we'll do some things to bridge the knowledge gap as far as what to prepare for spring ball. And then when we start up spring ball, obviously, we're going to start after spring break to give us a full training allotment. It gives you 8 weeks to get prepared for spring ball, and then go from there. When we get back from spring break, we'll have a couple days to get our bodies back underneath of us and make sure that we don't have any soft tissue injuries. And we'll start on, I think it's March 26th, whatever that Thursday is of after spring break, and then we'll end, I want to say April 25th, which is Saturday.
What, obviously bigger, stronger, faster, but how do you guys approach the training over the winter?
Yeah, I think this is maybe the most important time of the year when you're developing a team. They spend a lot of the time in the weight room, but I really believe in movement efficiency and teaching the kids how to transfer the weight room to the field, and a lot of that's going to stem from how we do things. There's 2 training segments, one that's 4 weeks, and then the next that's 4 weeks, and the second 4 weeks we'll do a lot of speed development during that time through treadmills and stuff like that. But overall, that's also when the mat drills come a part of it, and we start football specific drills out on the field in the morning. So they'll get used to that, and then they'll get their breather at spring break, and they come back. We should be ready to roll.
You guys do I don't know, spring games are a little antiquated, but something.
Yeah, we'll do like a spring showcase, which is a practice. That'll be on the Saturday, and we'll probably run a youth camp after it. So it's with the community.
With like how new you guys are, the team is, like how important is that public facing piece of it for your players, for you guys for people to get to know you?
Yeah, I think it's important. I think it's important for our players to be a part of the community, and I think it's really important for our community to get to know us as a staff and have those interactions. We'll do some more of that in February, me personally, individually, but I mean, you want people to show up. People in small towns and in the Midwest in general, they want to know who they're giving to, right? Mm-hmm. And so, we're living in a world of NIL and how important the people are in the community and wanting to come out and support, those things do matter.
I'm curious, like, having spent 2 decades at South Dakota State, I mean, how do you think about small town, college town?
I love
football's piece of it.
Yeah, I love it. Honestly, I love the aspect of living in a smaller community. I love the aspect of being out here in the Midwest. I feel like I fit this. Growing up in Arizona, I grew up in a big city. It was a huge adjustment for me going to South Dakota. I was homesick, I hated it, and then 19 years later, it was it was the best decision of my life. So, overall, I think what a small community does is you get to know people at a better level. I think there's more genuine relationships that form. I think there's less distractions for student athletes. I think there's probably a greater commitment to a sense of brotherhood because there isn't a whole lot of things to do outside of football and train, and the things that they claim were important to them when they committed makes it a little bit more enjoyable to coach kids that really want to do this and really do it well. And that happens usually in smaller communities.
You mentioned being homesick and hating Brookings to start. What was that like coming from the Phoenix area to there?
A culture shock for sure. Yeah, I mean, I went on my visit. I knew what I was getting myself into. It was a sacrifice to go, and freezing cold weather on my visit. I mean, it was like -4. So when
you
I
really knew what you were doing.
I did, and I didn't really care. And I still tell recruits that, like, you're not going to make a decision based off of weather. You wouldn't do that if you got the opportunity to go to the NFL.
Sure.
So I didn't. I chose it off of the people and their belief in me, and it was unique. You go to a grocery store and people ask you how you're doing, and that doesn't happen in Arizona. You wonder if they're going to rob you. You don't leave your keys in your car. You don't leave your doors to your front door open, and it's kind of why I wanted to raise my kids. Honestly, a safe community where my kids can have fun outside and be themselves, and you don't have to worry about crime everywhere. And those things matter to me. It should matter to everybody, but at the end of the day, the Midwest vibe and how people are genuine, I think it's awesome. That's kind of why moving back here was such a big deal. That and close to family.
How long did it take you to go from this sucks to like, oh, this is where I'm gonna spend 2 decades of my life?
I think the hardest thing was not playing right away. When you're a true freshman, you redshirt. That sucks for everybody. And that was hard, and then also spring breaks, like getting snowed in after a while. You get over the homesickness with your friends, right? And the more I was able to develop relationships there, the less I was concerned about going back home because that was becoming my new home. So I I would say probably a year. I'd tell every player, like, give it a year. Just give it a full year. See if you don't feel different about going into your second year after you do so. So, yeah, I think when you change your world like that at 18 or 17, however old you are when you go to college, there's a lot of things that you're not used to, and nobody likes change, and you got to overcome them. And that's how you grow. But for me, yeah, that was a culture shock. It was the best decision I ever made. Just growing there as a person, growing there as a player. My wife's family's from South Dakota, so there's a lot of positives there for me.
What was the football education like there over literally 20 years, I guess?
Yeah, I learned football from ground level, making sure you had enough hats on each side of the center, and we couldn't run things defensively unless it's actually schematically lined up. And I mean line down the middle. If your foot wasn't splitting the difference, you were not aligned right. So, yeah, I think over the course of the years, I've had a lot of coaches come in that have been at other places and taken some from many of them, not just in scheme, but also just in their style of coaching and their approach of coaching and their approach of teaching and how they get their players prepared. And I said in my opening press conference, Clark Lee was one of the biggest, I don't want to just say mentors, he was kind of showed me what it looked like to do it at that level as far as the detail in which he coached us to the organization of how we were coached. It made me want to become a coach. This is what it can look like if you do it like this, And he pushed me mentally. Something I always loved football, but then when my sophomore year in college, I would say, really started to grow into love of the actual X's and O's, and outside of just running around and hitting people, if that makes sense.
Why was that? Because you were getting on the field more, or was it?
No, it's just the data behind it and the ability to compartmentalize information differently and how to simplify things in people's brains. And I just, what he did for me as a player, I wanted to do for somebody else and be able to impact their life through the game of football. And I don't just mean scheme. He impacted me in so many ways, but him and Coach Stig and Coach Bubak, and I had great mentors, and I had a lot of people come through that aided in my development as a person, as a player. So Jake Dickert, who's at Wake Forest, was an assistant at South Dakota State. Kind of spread out everywhere right now. It's a strong. Jason Eck is head coach at New Mexico. Just how he did things, how he recruited, his approach to handling things. You can learn something from everybody that you come across with, as long as you're open. And I'm a pretty open person when it comes to ideas. I like to absorb as many things as possible and then make a decision off of it.
What does that say about the program and the way that it was built and developed over time? That the success has gotten sprawling to a pretty high level beyond what you guys were able to do on the field.
You talking about South
Dakota State? Yeah.
Coach Stig spent a lot of time getting to know the person, not necessarily just what they could do from a scheme standpoint. It was more always about, do they fit us, or are they just going to be here for 1 or 2 years? And I think he did a really good job at it. And in finding the right coaches that would be there, we found the right players that wanted to be there. Give them opportunities, maybe then when other people didn't, and they busted their butt and we pushed them. So, yeah, over years the program has continued to grow. It's still growing. Dan Jackson's one of my closest friends. He's the head coach there. Yeah, I think it's in great hands. I think the place has grown a ton based off of the type of people that have been recruited to be there, which I plan on doing here. It's what I've done with the staff already, and it's what I'm doing with the team right now.
The most unfair question on January 21st is how good can you guys be next year? What do you want this to look like?
Well, I hope we're a championship team. I'm not going to say that we can't be. Everything's based off the heartbeats and habits that are going to be developed this spring and the expectation of what these players think. I mean, obviously, what Kurt Signetti just did in 2 seasons is unbelievable. And that's hard to do because you're meshing so many different people together at one time. The process is quick, but at the same time, if you do it genuinely and the players know that you care about them and you're honest with them and you hold a certain standard about how you do things, players are resilient. They'll adapt, but you got to have the organization and structure to be able to do that.
Gentlemen, thank you.
All you gotta
Thanks,
do is
guys.
win a national title in 2 years. and you're good to
Well,
go.
don't put that in there.